Imagine a religious complex so massive it covers 200 acres. A building project so ambitious it continued for over 2,000 years, with more than 30 pharaohs each adding their own sections, columns, and monuments. A single hall containing 134 columns, each 70 feet tall and 12 feet in diameter, so massive that 6 people holding hands can barely encircle one. This isn't imagination. This is Karnak Temple, the largest religious building complex ever constructed in human history. Located in Luxor, Egypt, on the east bank of the Nile River, Karnak is so enormous that the entire Cathedral of Notre Dame could fit inside just one section of it. St. Peter's Basilica in Rome could fit inside it 4 times. Every major European cathedral could be placed inside Karnak's walls with room to spare. The ancient Egyptians called it Hypostyle, meaning the most select of places. For nearly 2 millennia, it was the most important religious center in Egypt, the earthly home of the god Amun, king of the gods. Pharaohs competed to add the most impressive additions to Karnak, making it larger and more spectacular than their predecessors. Each wanted their contribution to prove their devotion to the gods and cement their legacy. The result is a sprawling complex of massive halls, towering obelisks, sacred lakes, and countless statues and reliefs. Today, Karnak stands as a testament to ancient Egypt's architectural genius and religious devotion. Walking through its ruins is like stepping back 3,000 years into a world where gods walked among men and pharaohs built monuments meant to last forever. Karnak wasn't built all at once. It's the product of continuous construction spanning over 2,000 years, from approximately 2000 BC to 30 AD. Think about that. Construction began during Egypt's Middle Kingdom and continued through the New Kingdom, late period, Persian occupation, Ptolemaic dynasty, and into the Roman period. The temple complex we see today represents contributions from at least 30 different pharaohs across 20 centuries. Each ruler wanted to leave their mark. The earliest structures at Karnak date to the Middle Kingdom around 2000 BC, though some archaeologists believe there may have been even earlier shrines on the site. Pharaoh Senusret I built one of the first stone structures here. But Karnak's golden age began during the New Kingdom around 1500 BC when Thebes, modern Luxor, became Egypt's capital and Amun became the supreme state god. Pharaohs like Hatshepsut, Thutmose III, Amenhotep III, Seti I, and Ramses II made massive additions. Hatshepsut erected enormous obelisks, one of which still stands at 97 feet tall, the tallest surviving ancient obelisk in Egypt. Thutmose III built the festival hall with its unique tent-pole-shaped columns. Amenhotep III constructed parts of the third pylon and added hundreds of statues. Seti I began the Great Hypostyle Hall, and his son Ramses II completed it, creating the most famous section of Karnak. Later pharaohs continued adding pylons, gates, chapels, and courtyards. Even foreign rulers who conquered Egypt, like the Kushites and Ptolemies, added their own contributions, respecting Karnak's religious importance. The result is an architectural layering effect, like geological strata, where you can literally walk through 2 millennia of Egyptian history. The crown jewel of Karnak is the Great Hypostyle Hall, one of the most breathtaking architectural spaces ever created. Built primarily by Seti I and completed by Ramses II around 1270 BC, this single hall covers an area of 54,000 square feet and contains 134 massive columns arranged in 16 rows. The 12 central columns are the tallest, reaching 70 feet high, with capitals, the decorated tops, that are wide enough to hold 50 standing people. These central columns have open papyrus capital designs. The 122 outer columns are slightly shorter at 42 feet, but still massive. All the columns are covered with intricate hieroglyphic inscriptions and carved reliefs showing pharaohs making offerings to gods. Walking into the Hypostyle Hall is an overwhelming experience. The columns create a forest of stone that seems to go on forever. When the hall was complete and roofed, Light entered through clear-story windows, the raised central section that allowed light to filter down between the taller central columns and shorter outer ones. The effect would have been like standing in a sacred forest with shafts of divine light illuminating the hieroglyphics. The ancient Egyptians designed this deliberately. The columns represented papyrus plants, sacred to creation mythology. The hall symbolized the primordial swamp where the world was born, and the pharaoh, by maintaining the temple, was maintaining cosmic order itself. The engineering required to build the Hypostyle Hall was extraordinary. Each column consists of massive stone drums stacked on top of each other. The capitals alone weigh many tons. The architraves, the horizontal beams spanning between column tops, weigh up to 70 tons each. How did Bronze Age workers lift these massive stones 70 feet in the air? Archaeologists believe they used massive earthen ramps that were later removed. Karnak wasn't just an architectural marvel. It was a functioning religious institution with enormous political and economic power. At its height during the New Kingdom, Karnak employed over 80,000 people: priests, administrators, craftsmen, farmers, and laborers. The temple owned vast estates throughout Egypt, controlled enormous agricultural lands, received tributes from conquered territories, and accumulated fabulous wealth in gold, silver, and precious stones. The high priest Amun at Karnak was one of the most powerful people in Egypt, sometimes rivaling even the pharaoh's power. Religious rituals at Karnak followed a daily cycle that had been performed for centuries. Each morning, the high priest would enter the inner sanctuary, the Holy of Holies, where a golden statue of Amun resided. He would break the clay seal on the shrine, open the doors, and awaken the god. The statue would be washed, dressed in fresh linen, anointed with oils, and presented with food offerings: bread, beer, meat, vegetables. After prayers and incense burning, the shrine would be resealed until the next day. These daily rituals were accompanied by prayers, hymns, and incantations designed to maintain Ma'at, cosmic order. The priests believed that if they failed to perform these rituals properly, chaos would consume the world. Only priests who had undergone elaborate purification rituals could enter the inner temple areas. They would bathe in the sacred lake, a large rectangular pool fed by groundwater, visible at Karnak today. They shaved their entire bodies, including their heads and eyebrows. They wore pure white linen and abstained from certain foods. The sacred lake at Karnak is 130 meters long and 77 meters wide, large enough to have contained real boats used in religious processions. For over 1,000 years after the Roman period, Karnak was gradually abandoned and buried under sand and debris. Medieval Arab writers described impressive ruins at Luxor, but the true scale of Karnak remained hidden. In the 19th century, European explorers began clearing sand and vegetation, revealing the massive complex beneath. French archaeologist Auguste Mariette conducted major excavations in the 1850s and 60s. The Great Hypostyle Hall was particularly buried, with sand filling the spaces between columns nearly to the capitals. Clearing it revealed the true magnificence that had been hidden for over a millennium. Throughout the 20th century and continuing today, international teams have worked to excavate, restore, and preserve Karnak. The French-Egyptian Center for the Study of the Karnak Temples has led much of this work, carefully documenting every inscription, stabilizing structures, and re-erecting fallen columns and obelisks. One of the most ambitious projects involved the open-air museum at Karnak, where archaeologists discovered that later pharaohs had dismantled earlier structures and used the blocks as fill material inside pylons and walls. By carefully extracting these blocks and studying the inscriptions, archaeologists have reconstructed several complete earlier buildings, including the White Chapel of Senusret I and the Red Chapel of Hatshepsut, both now displayed in the museum. Modern restoration faces challenges. Tourism, while economically vital, causes wear on the ancient stones. Thousands of feet walking on floors, hands touching columns, and breath humidity all contribute to deterioration. Groundwater rising due to modern irrigation, threatens the foundations. Air pollution from nearby Luxor city damages the sandstone. Conservators use careful cleaning methods, consolidate fragile carvings, and monitor environmental conditions to slow the decay while keeping Karnak accessible to visitors. Today, Karnak Temple is one of Egypt's most visited archaeological sites, with over 500,000 tourists annually walking through the same courtyards and halls where ancient priests once performed sacred rituals. The site is most spectacular at sunset when the golden light illuminates the sandstone columns and hieroglyphics, creating the atmosphere the ancient builders intended. Many visitors attend the evening sound and light show, where the temple is dramatically illuminated while narrating its history. The modern experience of Karnak includes walking the Avenue of Sphinxes, a 2-mile processional way lined with Sphinx statues that once connected Karnak to Luxor Temple. This sacred road, where gods were paraded during festivals, is being restored and reopened to the public. Standing in the Hypostyle Hall, surrounded by 134 towering columns, visitors understand why Karnak has inspired awe for over 3,000 years. This is architecture on a superhuman scale, designed to make humans feel small before the gods and the pharaohs who serve them. Karnak represents the culmination of 2,000 years of religious devotion, architectural innovation, and political power. It's a testament to what humans can achieve when they work across generations toward a common goal. The pharaohs who built Karnak wanted to create something eternal, something that would last forever and prove Egypt's greatness. They succeeded. 3,000 years after the last pharaoh walked through these halls, Karnak still stands, still inspires, and still makes us question how ancient people achieved such magnificence. Karnak isn't just the largest religious building ever built. It's proof that with vision, dedication, and time, humans can create wonders that transcend mortality and touch eternity.